Hi, ArcfieldWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Thursday morning, January the 9th. We have a lot to talk about this morning, a lot of weather going on all across the nation. First of all, in the northeastern part of the nation, the Mid-Atlantic, New England, biting cold winds today, gusting up to 50 miles per hour or so. It's what I like to call slap in the face cold. Step outside, you really get smacked in the face, and you don't want to stay outside too long today. If you're in the Mid-Atlantic region or the Northeast U.S., wind chill values will be at or below zero at times throughout the day today, and those strong winds will continue tonight as well. Strong winds continue across Southern California, where there were a breakout of wildfires yesterday. They've slackened off somewhat, and it looks like throughout the day today, still windy, but not quite as windy as it was yesterday. And another big weather story is the southern state snow and ice that is coming. It looks like significant snow and ice across much of the southern states over the next 24 to 48 hours or so. This really stretches all the way from New Mexico to the Tennessee Valley, and then ultimately even into the Carolinas. There'll be some snow and ice to deal with. That same system looks like we'll end up producing a light snow event in the Mid-Atlantic region from late Friday night into early Saturday. Places like D.C., Philadelphia can get maybe a coating to a couple of inches or so after midnight Friday night into Saturday morning. So let's start off here by taking a look at the snow cover map. And this area right here, and let me outline it, right in this area right here was really added to with respect to the snow cover during the last storm, the storm that hit earlier this week. It was really moved west to east right along I-70 for the most part. This particular storm that's upcoming over the next 24 to 48 hours or so will add to the snow cover most likely in this area right here, all the way down into places like northern Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Tennessee, maybe even the northern parts of Mississippi and Alabama. And so in a few days or so, we may see this snow cover extended all the way down into much of the southern U.S. from New Mexico to the Tennessee Valley for sure. And there'll also be significant ice we'll talk about in a moment in much of this part of the nation. You know, there's an old adage we have in the world of weather forecasting: snow begets snow. The more snow you have, the more snow you can get. And there are plenty of adages in the world of weather forecasting. Most of them are based on some physical reality, and in other words, are based on some truth. When you have a snow cover, you can knock off a few degrees during the day because the sun's energy, instead of working to heat up the ground, which in turn heats up the lower atmosphere, some of that energy is used up in melting the snow. So you certainly can knock off perhaps several degrees by day. In the nighttime situation, if you have snow cover, you can drop 5 degrees or so lower than without the snow cover, because snow is a much better emitter of heat into space than is grass or asphalt. So it makes some sense that basically you have a colder atmosphere day and night when you have an expansive snow cover situation. So again, the old adage, snow begets snow, and here we are kind of ready to add to this snow cover across the U.S. in this particular area over the next couple of days. Well, actually, before we take a look here at the latest surface weather map, speaking of old adages, there's another one that really worked out well a little while ago here. There's an old adage that if you get a thunderstorm in the wintertime, it's pretty likely you'll see snow. A few days later, maybe up to a week later, and sure enough, New Year's Eve, there were thunderstorms that hit D.C., Philadelphia, New York City, and then a decent snow event about a week later, January 6th, in all of those places. And again, this is kind of based on some physical reality that if you get a strong thunderstorm in the middle of the winter, it's more than likely associated with a strong cold frontal system. So you're likely to turn colder after that. Not too unusual to say that you may even see snow. And sure enough, that old adage came to fruition in the Mid-Atlantic region. In fact, there was some snow not only a week later on January 6th, a week after the New Year's Eve thunderstorm outbreak, but January 3rd, there was some snow as well, all following thunderstorms. Well, here is a look at the latest isobar pattern. The isobars represent lines of equal pressure. The tighter the isobar on this particular map, the tighter the black lines, the stronger the winds. And take a look here in the northeastern part of the nation. You just have an incredible, powerful wind today of up to 50 miles per hour or so, and that's to go along with temperatures in the teens right now across many of the suburban areas in the I-95 corridor region, north and west of D.C., Philadelphia, New York City. You combine 45, 50 mile per hour winds with temperatures in the teens, you're talking wind chill values at or below zero. That is dangerous if you're outside for a long period of time and not protected. So again, very tight pressure gradient here, and that'll last all day and into the night across the mid-Atlantic northeast U.S. Now, another area here with tight pressure gradient. Notice out here across the western U.S., you have high pressure situated right here, and winds flow clockwise around highs, and this is your Santa Ana flow right here, where we have these strong winds that come down mountains, downsloping wind into, in the case yesterday, into Southern California. That has shifted a little bit to the north, the main area of the pressure gradient here, but again, still likely to see winds 30 to 40 miles per hour today across the LA basin, for example, as opposed to much higher numbers yesterday. But this is the classic setup for those Santa Ana winds. When winds blow downhill, as they did yesterday, down the mountains into the LA basin, that is a warming wind, that is a drying wind, and that is conducive to spreading wildfires. It's kind of the opposite scenario, as if you have rising air in the atmosphere going up a mountain, for example. In that case, the air gets cooler and condenses, becomes more humid, condenses into clouds and precipitation. When you have a descending wind, that is a warming and drying wind, and that is exactly what you don't want to see in Southern California. They call it the Santa Ana winds, downsloping winds from the mountains down into the LA basin, right in this area right here. So again, with a very, very strong high to the north, you have that clockwise flow, classic setup for those Santa Ana winds. Now, another look at the U.S. surface map right now, because this one I added temperatures, and we talked about this yesterday, how in this particular setup, cold air has penetrated all the way down into the deep south, setting the stage for significant snow and ice all the way from Texas to the Tennessee Valley, maybe even into the western Carolinas, Georgia included as well. And look at this freezing line right now. It goes all the way down, and this is current condition here, into northern Florida, right to the Gulf Coast, and then cuts across into Texas and New Mexico. This is the freezing line, again, with a lot of northerly winds here to the north and east, just pushing that cold air all the way down to the Gulf Coast. That is setting the stage for what will be a significant snow and ice event over the next 24 to 48 hours, way down into the southern U.S. Well, before we focus in on the current situation, I just wanted to kind of take a longer-term look here. We are in a very cold weather pattern, below normal temperatures across much of the central and eastern U.S., and it certainly looks like it will continue well into the month of January. We've talked about this before multiple times, that all the teleconnection indices have fallen into place for an extended period of cold. We also have had a stratospheric warming event where the stratospheric polar vortex has shifted onto the North America side of the pole. That contributes to the cold right now, and it also helps to sustain this cold weather pattern. Just wanted to take a look here at a couple of ensemble runs of the 850 millibar temperature anomalies going all the way to the latter part of January, just to show how sustained this cold pattern appears to be. And again, all the indicators provide some supporting evidence that this will be a sustained pattern here. Blues and purples here represent colder than normal temperatures. These are averages over 5-day periods. In this particular case, this is the current 5-day period we're in. Again, these are rolling averages here, and we'll just move forward here. And the time period is shown up here. This is days 2 to 6, January 10th to the 15th. Just watch how we reload here. We have this colder than normal pattern here. By the time we get to days 6 to 10, January 14th and the 19th, it's basically in the eastern half of the nation, but then it just reloads upstream, and here we go all the way towards the latter part. This goes all the way out to the 19th to the 24th. This is using the European ensemble run, and this is just a very impressive look to it here. Again, this is, statistically speaking, probably the coldest week of the entire year, that third week in January, when you have a widespread area here. And this is kind of a long-range forecast, but it certainly is a plausible scenario here. When you have a widespread area of colder than normal during that coldest week, statistically speaking, that is impressive indeed, especially when you're looking at an ensemble run, which tends to smooth things out with time. So that's the European model. Now let's take a look at the NOAA's GFS model, the ensemble run. Again, same kind of a forecast here, the 5-day average of 850 millibar temperature anomalies. This is the current 5-day period. We'll just move forward in time. Again, it kind of focuses on the eastern U.S. several days out, but then just reloads upstream. Here we go all the way out to days 12 to 16, in this case the 20th to the 25th, and that is very, very impressive cold here. That happens to be inauguration week. January 20th is inauguration day, and there are signs of a strong storm system right around that time in the eastern part of the nation as well. We're talking 10 days out, like the 9th, 19th, or 20th or so, and there's signs like this that there could be some bitter cold air that particular week feeding into the central and eastern states. Well, in the shorter term, this is the southern U.S. special here, where we get significant snow and ice over the next couple of days here. This is the total snowfall forecast map by last night's 0Z run of the GFS between now and Sunday morning. And the extent of this is impressive indeed, from Texas all the way across Arkansas, the Tennessee Valley, even into the western part of the Carolinas. By the time that snow reaches the mid-Atlantic region, the system is relatively weak. Looks like generally a light snow event for places like D.C., Philadelphia, New York City, late Friday night into Saturday morning, coating to a couple of inches or so, but significant snow, a half a foot or more on places like northeast Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Tennessee. Again, this is all associated with that storm system that is intensifying today way down in the deep south. Now, unfortunately, it's not just snow to worry about in the southern part of the nation. It looks like there will be a significant icing event as well, with as much as a quarter to a half an inch of accumulation of ice in parts of the southern states, from Texas across to Oklahoma, maybe extreme northwestern Louisiana, northern parts of Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia can get in on some of that action. And certainly when you're talking about ice accumulation of that magnitude, you could be talking about some tree limbs coming down, maybe even some trees, and some power outages to worry about. So it's not just significant snowfall that will be very disruptive over the next couple of days. It will be a swath of accumulating ice here across the southern states, all the way from Texas to the Carolinas. Well, let's move to the 500 millibar height anomaly forecast maps from last night's 0Z model run. Here is the main area that impacted, by the way, Southern California yesterday with those strong winds, in addition to that strong high to the north that was positioned over the northwestern part of the nation. You had an upper level low sliding across the southern part of California into the Baja region. And here it is this morning, and we'll move forward in time here. And this is helping to intensify surface low pressure that, again, will help to produce significant snow and ice across the southern states. And here we get into the Friday night time frame here. We've talked at times about the orientation of the trough axis in this part of the atmosphere, the 500 millibar layer, or the upper part of the atmosphere. This particular case, that trough axis is what we call positively tilted. It extends really from the northeast to the southwest, and This generally has a weaker surface storm system associated with it. When it moves to neutral or then negatively tilted, that enhances the upward motion down at the surface level, and that's when the storm really can intensify. And we just don't seem to have that for this upcoming system. And by the time it gets to the Mid-Atlantic region, it's still kind of a positively tilted upper level trough. Hence, the surface storm in the Mid-Atlantic coastline region will not be all that strong. It waits till it's well off the East Coast before rapid intensification takes place. Now let's move forward in time here. Here we go. Still kind of a stretched out, positively tilted trough axis all the way into Saturday morning. Again, eventually that may switch to a negatively tilted trough axis, and that storm system at the surface intensifies, but well off the coast, too late to produce any kind of a significant snow event for the Mid-Atlantic region. Well, let's wrap up with the surface forecast maps, again using the conventional run of the GFS from 0Z last night, and take a look here at the isobars. We have very tight pressure gradient again over the Mid-Atlantic, Northeast U.S., wind gusts of up to 50 miles per hour or so. That could produce some power outages, certainly from, let's say, New York City north and east, where the strongest winds will be, and just a slap in the face type of cold, biting cold winds with below zero wind chill values all day today in the northeastern part of the nation. Also continue to have tight pressure gradient out here in the western U.S. with that strong highs over the southwestern part of Canada. And again, winds flow clockwise. It sets up your Santa Ana condition where winds flow down the mountains into the LA basin here. So a continuation of strong winds, not as strong as yesterday, but still relatively strong winds with that Santa Ana condition here. Now, let's move forward in time, and we'll see the spreading to the north and east of snow and ice. Ice showing up here in purple and pink here. It could be sleet, freezing rain, or a combination of the two. Rain is shown on this map in green and yellow, and snow up to the north. Northeast Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas. Snow shown in blue, and that moves to the east-northeast. And here's that surface low pressure area, again, much farther south than the prior one earlier this week that kind of took that I-70 route from the Central Plains to the Mid-Atlantic region. Snow moves into the Ohio Valley and ultimately the Mid-Atlantic region by late tomorrow night into Saturday morning. Excuse me. Again, it looks like generally a light event for places like D.C., Philadelphia. New York City may even escape with any kind of accumulation, but D.C. and Philly could get a coating to a couple of inches, maybe some snow showers, maybe a coating in New York City, and that's because this low pressure area just doesn't have quite the upper atmosphere to rapidly intensify in this location. It'll wait till it's out here before rapid intensification takes place. At least that's the way it appears right now. We'll go out a little farther in time, and here we go, 992 millibar, and then 982 by the time we get to Saturday night. But this is far too east to produce any kind of significant snow in the Mid-Atlantic region, and it certainly is not going up the New England coastline, so little impact across New England from this system, but it indeed will have a major impact across the southern states, again all the way from New Mexico to the Carolinas over the next 24 to 48 hours or so, and biting cold in the northeastern part of the nation today. That's it for now. For ArcfieldWeather.com, this has been meteorologist Paul Dorian.